Good morning, namaskar. I request it's a great day for us because after a long gap we are holding international conference on creativity and innovation. We had a part of the conference at China from 3rd to 5th December where there were about 60 Chinese grassroots innovators and there were 3 Indian grassroots innovators. Idea was that 2 civilizational societies which comprised about 1/5 of the humanity must learn from each other and help create public goods. Our idea is that innovation public goods must be available to other developing countries. A new model of development must emerge from Asia. And this model would be a model of sharing, caring, learning and growing together. This conference also is important for the reason that it provides an opportunity to take a look at the last 24 years of HONEYBEE network, which have been very eventful. I have requested Professor Mathur, a guru of mine, but also more importantly a mentor of the network, and has been involved from the beginning to reminiscence about the journey. And he has seen it all from the day when we were struggling, way back in 80 when I was in IPA, to the day when I am here. The struggle for representing the voice of people at the grassroots, at the level of the highest levels of the policy, institutions, culture, has been a long struggle in which large number of you have been very active participant. This struggle, we would like to also emphasize, has been a collective struggle of a lot of people who are not here, but who have given their best all this while in making this journey meaningful. I have great pleasure in introducing Chair Dr. Sushant Guntaleke, who is one of the most eminent scholars in this region, but I would say the whole world. He has published a large number of very popular books. One of his books which is coming up is Cultural Consequence of the Shift to Asia. So he's already anticipating the center of the world has moved. I always realized that it has moved eastern side of the world. And what is the consequence of that for the world in this forthcoming book? Buddhist heritage of Sri Lanka, food as a human right, technological independence, the Asian experience from Tokyo University Press, crippled mind and exploration into colonial culture. That was the book which brought me first time in touch with his eminent work, the concept of colonized mind and how many European countries became independent politically, but remained, the mind of the planners and rulers remained colonized. That was a concern which he expressed very early in the discussion on development. He is the president of the 167-year-old Royal Asiatic Society Sri Lanka and has been president of various science associations, has taught at all over the country, all over the world, in Columbia University, New School for Social Research, New York, Institute of Developing Economies, Tokyo, University of Philippines, University of London, Norway, large number of universities he has taught. We welcome you, Sushant, to this meeting, and particularly because you represent amongst all of us a voice which always argued for an identity, for a confident expression of the cultural heritage as well as aspirations of a different kind, drawing it from Buddhist traditions, but also various secular traditions of our society that we have had, in which sharing of our knowledge and caring for the world was part of our everyday prayer. There was no other way we could think of our being except by being except being one amongst many who are there in this world to use the resources in a sustainable manner. Mr. Kuldeep Mathur And Susan would help us steer this conference in the direction that I will share with you now, what our expectation from this conference is, what we are trying to achieve in the 2 days that all of you are with us. It is not an usual conference in which there are many presentations, but for one or two key speeches, we are not going to have any paper presentation. Because the script seems to seize hold of our mind. It doesn't let us be free. We become possessed by the words which we have written or composed. The language shapes the habit of thought. The articulation, the use of language shapes the habit of presentation, habit of sharing our ideas. So we decided that we will not have, except for the sake of sharing with you the facts of our journey, we will not have formal presentation of papers in this conference. But we will have a lot of dialogue, a lot of discussion, a lot of debate, a lot of comments, a lot of criticism of what we have done and what we should be doing. In one word, the hope is that you will all criticize ruthlessly the acts of commission and omission of Honeybee Network. हम लोगों ने जो भी कुछ किया है पिछले 24 साल में, उसकी आलोचना करेंगे आप लोग, उसकी समीक्षा करेंगे और उसको कैसे सुधारा जाए इसके बारे में अपनी राय देंगे. Whatever we have done in these 24 years deserves to be critiqued constructively in a ruthless manner, and that is the effort. So a lot of our colleagues who have co-traveled with us in this journey are here today. Apart from the scholars, scientists, our collaborators in field who bring the unsung heroes of our society to the surface. Without whose effort, network would not be here, and we will not be able to achieve what we are doing. Many scientists who have added value and who are our collaborators in terms of making the knowledge of people valid and value added are also here from various universities, from various labs. And we welcome you all, because without your support, the formal system will not accept that there is any value in what our communities are doing. So we need that validation and valuation. Every time my friends in the development system dialogue critique the need for seeking legitimization from the formal sector, they say, why do we need it? Well, when two languages have to communicate with each other, we need a translator. And the translation function is very critical, because if we do not translate the voice from one system to another, then no cooperation can take place. It is true for different parts of the world, different cultures, different countries. It's also true for different kinds of knowledge systems. So we do need this translation. We do need this communication. We do need this mutual validation. And we know there are a large number of stories where formal systems, technology developed by the formal system have not worked, policies and programs developed by the formal system have not worked, and society has critiqued them. If society has a right to critique what formal system does, then formal system also has a right to critique what the informal system does. And we should treat this relationship with due respect and due sensitivity. So we believe that there is a role that formal science and technology, formal institutional managers, policymakers have to critique what we do, and we will invite that critique. The sessions are organized as follows, as I explained, but let me also say that in each session, the chair and co-chair have to help in articulating the concerns of that session. We have made a issue note, which is appended to a volume. Some of the questions we have listed doesn't mean that we should restrict to those questions, and quickly have a look at those questions anyway. But the purpose was that we should be provoked to not let anything remain under the table. We should ask hard questions. Why did certain things take so long? How did NIF come about in 2000, National Innovation Partnership? What have various institutions, part of the network, contributed? How have we been able to get support in some of the most marginal regions of our country? How is it possible that when we went to Jammu and Kashmir and we had a meeting in Anil College, a young boy got up and he said, when did you come to Kashmir first? We said 2005. He said, why did it take so long? And the question that obviously we had no reply for was that if the so-called mainstream fails to engage with the margins of our society, it is as much a problem of the mainstream as of the margins. In Northeast, where we have had our Shodhyatras, every 6 months we do walk in different parts of the country. Our 30th Shodhyatra, for the last 15 years. will be in Manipur from 12th to 17th. Some of you might be with us in that walk. And in these walks, we have tried to honor the creative people of our country at their doorstep. To prove that once somebody solves a problem, social problem, technological problem, institutional problem, educational problem, then it is our duty to honor that person or those persons at their doorstep. That is what a dignified society does. It does not wait for people to come to it, but goes out to them and honors them where they are. There are 4 pillars of Honeybee networks: such educational innovation, technological innovation, institutional innovation, and cultural creativity. Dr. Vijay Shetty tomorrow in a session on educational innovation will be launching a very major initiative, country-wide initiative, to make a bank of ideas of creative teachers. He has done pioneering work in the last 2 decades on the innovations by the teachers. Despite the fact that we have proved it time and again that economic development does not necessarily mean development of the minds and the education, the governments have continued to neglect the education sector. Even in the most developed regions of our country, the educational standards are extremely poor. Gujarat is one example, where we are 15th, I suppose, in the education level of the school, whereas in terms of economic growth, we are at the top. So economic development does not take care of the basic institutions which format the hard disk of the children, so to say, is established. Then who will bring about the change? And his work has shown that basically it is the teacher that transforms. Ultimately, it is the teacher who matters, who makes the difference. So we will have that session tomorrow. And we are trying to build a database at Trustee which will share this knowledge in possibly at least 2 languages, in the English and later on in regional languages, so that teacher-to-teacher learning takes place and our children can get better exposure to the world than they have got so far. It seems that we are building systematic effort to have certain people groomed up to serve other people. There are 2 different kinds of population that we are trying to develop in this country. We must put a stop to that and see that every child of our society has the same opportunity to grow and participate and unfold his potential in the true sense. In terms of institutional development, we have both engaged with formal institutions but also documented the literature from our experience from the field in common property resources. We are convinced that as the resources become scarce, there will be very little we can do privately. We'll have to learn to share resources. And therefore, need for common properties will become very critical. So we have a database at trustee.org/CPRI which looks at common property resource institutions. In terms of technological innovation, of course, we have a huge database. The largest database in open source is available at trustee.org. More than 10,000 and odd examples of people's creativity are available at the website, some in more than 1 language. And the strange part is that despite all the efforts to share this work, on the web, if you go and search for examples of people's creativity, you don't find many. So in that sense, we have failed. The strongest network outside of India we have in China. They have more than 3,000 innovators, about 7,000 ideas and innovations on the web in the last 7 years of our organization, 8 years of our organization. And it's not surprising that one of the strongest network is in China, because once they realize something is useful, they just go all out of it. So we are really impressed. I hope that in every country of the world, developed or developing, we will have large number of multimedia, multi-language databases of creativity and innovation, so that people-to-people learning in the true sense will be cemented with this standard. In terms of cultural creativity, Paul is with us, Malika will be with us tomorrow. I have always argued that technology is like a word, institutions are like grammar, culture is like thesaurus. It gives us relation on a theme. The nuances of our life are captured by the cultural creativity. And we have the tragedy that in our national policies and programs, famous program of rural employment guarantee, 250 million people are given job 100 days. To do what? To dig earth, break stones, and imagine a singer, a folk artist, a sculptor digging earth rather than doing what he or she is good at. That is a tragedy we still have not been able to stop, but we are going to, one day it will stop, I can assure you. One day, work will not be just breaking stone, but also singing, also creating beautiful forms of art and culture. And once that happens, when that is recognized as a legitimate work for making living in this world, I'm sure we would have made a difference to the cultural margins of our society. We have learned, I'll just tell one example. We were walking in Bastar, in one of our Shodhyatra, and we found in some villages, some graves. There was no Muslim, there was no Christian there. So we were struck. What are these graves doing here? And then the colleague from the village told us, look, when a healthy person dies in our society, we bury him or her. When a sick person dies, we bury him. Show me one culture in the world which has found such a way of dealing with death. If it is a sick person, no, we don't put it in the soil. Let be burnt. That's the best way to dispose of disease. But if it is a healthy person, then soil deserves it. We can offer it to the Mother Earth. Such a wonderful way of dealing with life and death is possible in what we call the backward culture, the backward region of our society, a tribal region of our society. But they're so evolved, so wise, so sensitive to the respect for life and for the earth. So there are lessons to be learned from the cultural beliefs and values. We will discuss them as the time goes by. Let me now just go through the session outline. The first session today, we will look at the innovations for inclusive development, the quarter-century journey of the Honeybee Network, and how we began as a secular-style newsletter, 5788, and how it began multi-language collaborative effort of colleagues. Various collaborative colleagues are here. Brigadier Ganeshan is here from Andhra Pradesh, Telugu. Father Habi is there from Kerala. Prakash is now Vivekanand, one of our oldest colleagues, from Madurai. Sundaramji from Rajasthan. Rajiv Pandey from Jharkhand. Who are the other collaborative colleagues here? Balram Sahu from Orissa. He represented the network in China. And Ranjan from Orissa, GM Bhatt from Kashmir, he keeps the flag flying in Srinagar University, has a Gyan Center also there, and goes out of his way of engaging the young people who have made the network there. Despite all the problems that young people pose to him, he's very kind and compassionate to keep them engaged. There are many others here who have also been cooperating with us very actively. Second session is presentation on the innovation policy landscape. The professor from Anand would chair, and we will have Sangli from USAID. Dharamveer, one of our innovators, I suppose is here, would share his experiences. If he's not there, we will have another innovator. In each session, we have provided one innovator to have a word. Amrit Bhai Agrawat, who is sitting on the dais, will be sharing his recollections of Honeybee Network. Honeybee Network कैसे शुरू हुआ, क्या हुआ, उसके बारे में वो संक्षेप में बताएंगे अमन भाई अग्रवाल। शुरू से जब से पहले मीटिंग हुई थी तब से वो हमारे साथ हैं। आर्टिजन हैं, पहले उनकी जो माँ थी उन्होंने खेतों में मजदूरी करके इनको पाला और मजदूर खेत मजदूर थे, ये भी खुद खेत मजदूर थे, इनकी माँ भी खेत मजदूर थी। She was a laborer and she brought him up when he lost his father and brought him up to become a person of his own mind. So he, apart from his religious and cultural pursuits, became a blacksmith, and then a lot of innovations. I think he is one of the largest serial inventors of about 17 different innovations in farm machinery, which he has done. Bullock operated Sapi ground nutting machine, pulley for the women to prevent the drudgery in lifting water. Large number of solutions he has developed. So we thought it would be in the fitness of the thing that he shares his recollection of what the network has done. In the session on second session, Vipin will share the gaps, will share the initiative that the Honeybee Network has taken in the last so many years, and I will share the gaps that exist still, and we would like to get your feedback as to how to close the gap. Third session there are parallel sessions, 2 parallel sessions in this room and the room adjoining. policy and institutional intervention for linking formal and informal sector. What have we done to link the two sectors in education? A very important initiative is going to come about. We'll discuss 1,000 scholarships are likely to be given to children just for imagination, for creative imagination. Mr. Bachati has nearly finalized the scheme and is likely to announce soon, where we have done the homework based on Ignite, completion of NIM. So what have we done to mainstream our initiatives into the national policy in different sectors? People will explain. In the session 3, we have Dinesh Abrol will be joining us by the time in the afternoon from the start, and he will also share what perspective in the scientific institutions have been there. This parallel session will be on financial and ICT innovation. Sanjay Verma, my colleague, will chair that session. And Alexander Grotz and Bhanu from Sydney, who has worked for a long time with a BDO company and headed their office in Germany and has his own company, to look at design, and thought it will be fitness of the thing that this network benefits from people like him and his colleague Isabel, who bring some of the most creative forms of expression in the formal system, and hopefully now that he is here, he will engage with the informal system and try to make the creativity of people as elegant, as aesthetically pleasant, as functionally efficient as anything in the world can be. Session 4 is about designing for inclusive and green development, engineering and biodiversity-based value chain. Dr. Pushpangadan will be chairing that session. I hope that he will be here very soon with us. And Professor Bhatt will co-chair from Kashmir University. And Professor Dodia from Sardar Patel, Sardar Bishinagar. And we will have some of our innovators here, Deepak Bharali, Jamna Man, Devisami. And parallel session will be on portfolio of incentives for IPR and open source instruments. We have Shamnad here, Shamnad Bashir, who will be joining us if he's not here, from Law School, Calcutta. And we will also have Adrian Smith from Sussex, who would help us take this discussion forward. Session 5, we have exhibition. We will go out, and there are lots of innovations displayed in the cricket ground just outside of MDC, where we are. And this exhibition will help us to see the creative outcomes of people's creativity, children's creativity, technology students. They have done some great job. My colleague Hiran May will be putting that innovation exhibition together from the technology side, technological student side. That will be shown there. In the evening, we'll go today to Vishala restaurant, a traditional food reflecting some of the best cuisines of our state, Gujarat. Will be offered to you all. We will leave at 7 o'clock in the buses, and it's about half an hour it goes there, and there will be some cultural activities. If those of you want to enjoy, there's a beautiful museum of utensils, last 3,000 years of collection of utensils. Something so fundamental to our life, and there's only one such museum, so you would see the museum of, and how different cultures around the world influence the shape of utensils in our country, forms of utensils. You will see that there. We'll come back in the night, and then tomorrow we will have a plenary presentation when the two parallel sessions, whatever they have discussed, will be shared with all of us together, and we will then have the chance to critique the insights and ideas there. Session 7 is a parallel session when Paul and Malika will steer it, and the idea is to look at how cultural creativity can also help in bringing peace and order in society. Paul has done a lot of work on that subject, and I'm sure he will take our small initiative forward in a way that cultural creativity becomes as important a pivot of Honeybee Network as technological and institutional and educational innovation have been so far. So we look forward to a very long-term engagement on this subject. The parallel session which Professor Akshay Agrawal will chair on techpedia.in, it's one of the very vibrant initiative that Honeybee Network has taken through Sashti in the last 3 years. We have built a database of more than 100,000 engineering projects done by 350,000 students from 500 colleges. I will tell the story later, but it is an amazing thing that a young boy, when he came to invite me 4 years ago, Hiranmai did, he wanted me to come for a lecture to SPNIT Surat. I said, no, I'm a Shylock, I want my pound of flesh.